Hey guys, hope you're well. Back with another video for you today on the best diet for fat loss. Common question we hear in the PT industry: what is the best diet for fat loss? What should I be doing? How do I lose fat quick? All these sorts of things. The first thing is we need to look at, are you in a calorie deficit? Are you consuming less calories than what your body needs to maintain your weight? Yes, cool, fine, you're going to lose some fat in that instance. Now I'm talking about fat loss, not weight loss, because we don't want to be losing muscle tissue, okay? And that can come, if we lose weight on the scales, it could be muscle, okay? So we need to do a few things to try and help focus on maintaining muscle. 1, weight training. 2, set a protein goal, okay? So I've done a video before on this, setting your macros and setting your protein goals. Go back through the YouTube videos, have a little look at that, and that'll give you an idea of how much protein you need to be having. Do that with some weight training. You're going to hold on to the muscle, which means you're going to have a better metabolism, you're going to look better, you're going to feel better, and that's what it's all about, okay? Once we've done all that, the final thing we want to look at is this: fats and carbs. What do I do? Do I go low carb? Do I go high carb? And for me, I've worked with clients for like 10 years now, and the thing that I've always found to look at are these 3 things. The first one is body fat. If someone has a higher body fat percentage, their body can become what we call insulin resistant. So when we have a blood sugar spike by eating something sugary or high in carbs, okay, that person's pancreas isn't as good at basically getting enough insulin into the body to help bring that use the blood sugar well. So obviously, you know, insulin and blood sugar being spiked post-workout, for example, is really good at getting nutrients into the cell, which is great for post-workout recovery. But if someone's got more body fat, their body doesn't handle that blood sugar spike as well. Insulin, you can get insulin resistance, which isn't as good. Okay, we want to be more insulin sensitive so that when we go and eat carbs and spike our blood sugars, we don't end up basically getting a massive crash. So if people do have a higher body fat percentage, there is a tendency that when they go and eat high carb meals, they can basically get a massive spike in energy and then a massive drop. Now, sometimes for people when they start with me, this happens to people when first thing in the morning, because they'll go and have a bowl of porridge made with some milk and chop up a banana in there, maybe a handful of nuts and a scoop of protein. Cool, but it's quite high in carbs. They then get to work and they feel like this going to work, they feel quite good, and then they get to about 10:30 and they drop. And what happens is, because it can go actually quite low from where you were originally in the morning before you ate that meal, when Doris comes around with the cake tray, the problem is you feel like you need a sugar boost. So you're going to have coffee and you're going to have a piece of cake or a cookie or something that basically is just going to cause this to happen again. And then the person is pretty much just riding this wave all day long. And that's not cool, because the problem is they're more likely going to end up eating crap and over consuming on their calories, which means they're now not back in a calorie deficit, which means they're not going to be in the best diet for fat loss. Okay, and ultimately this comes down to the person, so there is no fixed way. But how do we know? So when we can use body fat and say, okay, if I've got a bit higher body fat, I might need to go a little bit less in carbs. But a good way to test it is look at your energy. So if you had let's say you had a pack of Uncle Ben's microwave rice, tablespoon of olive oil, and 100 grams of chicken breast, okay? That meal there is going to be quite high in carbs. If you have that meal and about 2 hours later you feel tired from it, there's probably too many carbs in that portion, in that meal for you, okay? If you went the next time, done the same thing, maybe, you know, half the portion of rice and add a bit more olive oil into that and see how you feel. If you felt a bit better from it, at the moment you might not want to go too higher carbs, okay? But there is a positive side to this. As your body fat levels come down, you become more insulin sensitive, which means you can start to have more carbs in your diet, which means you're going to start feeling better. Cool, perfect, that's what we want, okay? So this isn't me saying I'm a low carb guy, this is me saying if you've got higher body fat percentage, you might have to start on the lower end of the carb scale, okay? So imagine over here, lower end of the carb scale, okay? And then let's say a little bit higher in fat, okay? And then as you get leaner, the fat might come down over time and the carbs might go up. Now obviously if you go and get lean and then you want to go into a muscle building phase, The fats might not drop that low, okay? They might drop a little bit. So if they were like say 100, for example, they might go down to maybe like 70. But obviously if the carbs were at like 120, I've got a client at the moment who I pretty much done this for. He went from 100 grams of fat down, but his carbs now have gone from like 140 and he's now on like 385 grams of carbs. So he's like way up here, loving life, eating loads and loads of carbs, which is great. And he's building loads of muscle because we got him lean first. So his body became more insulin sensitive. Now this isn't the case for everyone. I've got a client who is still fairly lean and he still feels like carbs cause him to have dips in energy. So we just give him carbs pretty much around certain times of the day. He doesn't actually have them pre-workout because he feels tired from that. He tends to have it in the meal before that meal to load up his glycogen. His pre-workout meal is what I call brain food, so I give him actually fat and protein. Post-workout, carbs. Then his meal after his post-workout meal is his dinner at night. So what do we have? More carbs to make him relax and a bit sluggish and make him sleep really well. And he's losing fat and building muscle at the same time at the moment. That's going really, really well. So that's what you can look into. The last one is digestion. Okay, so this is why I'm not an advocate for stupidly low carb. If you go really, really low carb, you have a tendency that people tell you to then go and shove it in loads of green fibrous veggies, which is great. They're really, really good for your health. But the problem for some people is some people don't handle insoluble fiber, the sort of fiber you get in broccoli and cauliflower and stuff. They don't handle loads of it really, really well, especially if they have digestive issues like IBS and stuff. They actually tend to get on better with things like butternut squash, white potato, sweet potato, swede, carrot, parsnip, so kind of your starchy tubers, okay? So they are still vegetables, okay? They have a little bit more starch, a little bit more carbs in, but because they've got soluble fiber, even, you know, the same sort of fiber, soluble fiber, the sort of thing you might find in like porridge and stuff as well, because of that fiber, it actually aids with the digestive system. So if you went really, really low carb and you ended up getting constipated, okay, or in some people, they go and eat loads of green veg and literally they're on the toilet all day long. If your digestive system changes and, you know, like I say, you're going to go one way or the other and things get a bit extreme, especially, you know, for a lot of people, I find it actually turns into the not being able to go side, then you might have gone a bit too low a carb and you might need to maybe just raise the carbs a little bit, okay? Drop the fat obviously as well with that, just a little bit, not too much, but then also have a look at the sources. You might need to get more soluble fiber in instead of insoluble fiber, but I'll do a video on that another day about, you know, I'll go into it a little bit deeper, excuse the pun, for the fiber side of things and stuff and digestive health. But that's why the other one I look at is the digestion, because again, if your digestive system is out of whack and it feels a bit rubbish, your energy levels aren't going to be that great, okay? And if your digestion is not working very well, the rest of your body's not going to function very well, so body fat levels are going to be harder to drop because there's more stress on the body, and it's going to make losing fat and finding the best diet for fat loss hard, okay? But once you've got that, once you've got your setup, guys, the last thing I want to say to you is, what do we need with all of that? We need consistency. Be consistent, okay? Stick to this, work this out, give it 2 to 4 weeks, and then make a change. If you've started to drop some fat, fine. Obviously, if you need to play around with things because you start to feel a bit sluggish, or you know, you think, oh, I've dropped a little body fat, I'd like to actually increase my carbs and drop my fat, keep calories the same and see how I go, fine, we can do that. So there we go. The best diet for fat loss, ultimately, guys, is the one that works for you, and it takes a little bit of time to find it, but once you've found it, you'll be on the way to better health and a leaner, fitter body, okay? Hopefully you found the video. Give it a like, share to family and friends, tell people, whatever, and subscribe to the channel. But until next time, peace out.